If you are someone with a hip flexor or high groin injury, these are movements to help you regain strength. So these are meant to be after you've had a little bit of time healing. We're going to be starting with a little bit of a warm-up. You're going to need a bench and a heavy dumbbell. This is a 50-pound dumbbell. I'm going to be doing a one-legged sit-up. It's important that your hips are higher than your foot with this. So if you have a glute ham machine, you can use that as well. But let's just go through the movement here. So hooking the ankle on the dumbbell. My other leg can be relaxed however you like, as long as it's hovering in the air. And then all I'm doing is I'm allowing my torso to come forwards and backwards while I pull my ankle up against the resistance of the dumbbell. So I'm going to do 10 of these. So the key here with this hip flexor high groin rehab is these muscles are not just moving the thigh up into hip flexion. It's also a combination of the torso moving either forwards and backwards or staying stabilized. So the easiest way to think about it is if I'm running, it's not just this happening, it's also a little bit of this happening with my torso. So overall, now that we've warmed up, we're going to start with the first exercise here. I've got my medium tension band. I have looped it to the size of my hip width when I'm standing. So my left hip is my injured hip. So that's the one I'm going to be working during this video. My right foot is just holding the band tension down. And then I am raising my knee up. And just pay attention to if your foot is staying directly below your knee or if it's coming in across to your other leg or out away from your body. That's just going to engage different muscles of the groin and hip, and so you might feel a little bit of a different muscle working. So I recommend starting in neutral, and then if you'd like to try the externally rotated or internally rotated position, you can absolutely do that. So that's the first part of the movement, is the leg moving up. The other part is the thigh moving forward. So it's a little bit of like a V crunch, and then I'm reversing. So my torso is reclining, and my leg is fighting the tension of the band. So choose a band tension that you can get a nice full movement, and you feel like it's tiring you out. The difficulty of this exercise shouldn't feel like it is straining you to the point where any discomfort or tightness is increasing with each rep. I'm okay if there's some discomfort there during and it stays about the same. And that's because we're working a tissue that's injured. Every time you work it, it's gonna feel a little bit cranky, but as long as we're not pushing it past its tolerance. So just pay attention to that. So that's movement number one. You're gonna choose, like I said, that medium band resistance as long as you can get a nice full motion, and you want to do as many reps as you can until you're tired, probably about 12. So switch to your other leg once you're done, rest, and then we're gonna move on to the next exercise. I'd recommend at least 2 minutes. You can go up to 5 minutes though. So our next movement is on the bench. I am doing a bent knee groin plank. So the inside of my knee and my shin is on my bench. My elbow is stacked below my shoulder. And then I want to be in a nice straight line from my knee, hips, and shoulders. So try not to break at the hips, try and push them forward. And then all I'm doing is using this groin on my top leg on the bench. I'm using it to lift me up to be parallel to the bench. And then I'm going to lower down. This is not an explosive movement. it is controlled. So just like that. If you need more of a challenge, you can have the bench at the middle of your calf for more leverage. And if you need more, go to your ankle. The same thing applies. Try not to let your hips break. Last movement. We're gonna need 2 sets of dumbbells here for a renegade row. So this one, the key is that your feet are way wider than your hands. And that's so that we're getting the right angle on the front of the hip, that we're getting your hip flexor and groin. So I'm just pulling the dumbbell in kind of a J hook motion to my hip pocket. And the weight should be heavy enough that you kind of feel like you're challenging that pelvis, torso, and you feel like you're kind of lurching a little bit. And that's gonna force the front of your hip to control as you pull the dumbbell. So the reps for this one, you're alternating hands, so it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 20. So you're gonna do 10 on each leg. For the groin plank, you're gonna do 8 reps per side. So just make sure you're resting a good 2 to 5 minutes between each of the 3 exercises, and then you can do 3 sets total, 4 if you have time. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy this workout.